Welcome back to Movie Moshow. Today we are going to review the science fiction horror film, Starship Troopers. If you like our content, don't forget to like and subscribe. We post multiple times daily. Spoilers ahead. The arachnids, also known as bugs, are a race of extraterrestrial beings whose homeworld is the planet Klendathu, one of many planets inhabited by these beings located on the other side of the Milky Way galaxy, several hundred years after a revolution by galactic war veterans overthrew the world's governments and imposed a militaristic regime known as the Global Federation of Earth. In Buenos Aires, best buddy Carl, Neil Patrick Harris, who has psychic talents, and Johnny D. Rico, Casper Van Dien, who is in a relationship with Carmen, Denise Richards, graduate from high school. To obtain citizenship, Carmen and Carl enlist in the military. Johnny defies his parents' wishes and enlists in the military as well because he wants to follow his fiancée and pal. He discovers, however, that his grades are too poor to enroll with Carmen in flight school, so he is given a position with the mobile infantry, while Carl is assigned to military intelligence. Clancy Brown's harsh career Sergeant Zim drills Johnny and the other fresh recruits. As a result of his great leadership abilities, Johnny is promoted to squad commander. He also runs across Dizzy Flores, Dina Meyer, a former classmate who sought transfer to Johnny's unit ostensibly because it was the toughest but really because she was in love with him. Johnny finds out throughout the course of the ensuing weeks at boot camp that Carmen is content with her instruction and is working with Patrick Muldoon's, Xander, his high school adversary, Xander. Her choice to join the fleet as her career destroys Johnny's hopes for the future of his relationship with her as well. In accordance with military rules, Johnny is stripped of his squad leader duties and publicly flogged after a training incident in which one of his team members is killed. The video phone call that Johnny is using to inform his parents that he is leaving the infantry gets cut off. His parents and the majority of the inhabitants of Buenos Aires were killed when an asteroid that the bugs sent toward Earth obliterated that city. Following this covert operation, Earth declares war on the bugs, and Johnny decides to stay with the infantry after consulting with Zim and their commanding commander. Due to a miscalculation of their adversaries' battle prowess and overwhelming numbers, the Federation forces launch a massive invasion of Klendathu, which turns into a complete failure. Huge tanker bugs that were once considered to be flame-spewing battle tanks on the surface are actually large artillery pieces that are capable of surface-to-space barrages that can seriously harm the fleet in space. The mobile infantry on the surface is cut off from air support and is overpowered by swarms of thousands of bug warriors since a large portion of the fleet in space has been destroyed or severely damaged. Before a withdrawal can be carried out, over 100,000 soldiers are slain. Several of Johnny's fellow recruits are also murdered, and Johnny sustains serious injuries. Carmen pulls up Johnny Rico's name on a computer screen later at the Ticonderoga Combat Station, where the remnants of the fleet are docked. It lists 308,563 casualties from the single-day combat, with the majority being Kia or MIA. Because of a mistake in the casualty count, Carmen thinks Johnny is dead even though his squad is all but destroyed. In reality, Johnny is receiving treatment from the medical team while having his legs wound closed. Scientists from the Federation are perplexed by the bugs' military strategy and hypothesize that there must be a caste of brain bugs that operate as generals for the arachnids. After being relieved for a few days, Johnny, Dizzy, and fellow squad member Ace Levy, Jake Busey, are reassigned to the Mobile Infantry's Roughnecks, a special unit under the command of Lieutenant Gene Raskzak, Michael Ironside, a first bug war veteran who has been brought out of retirement to command the group. The campaign is revised by a new Sky Marshal back on Earth, who uses attacks on other worlds in the Klendathu system to gather additional information about the arachnid strategies. Lieutenant Raskzak's platoon landed on Planet P to launch a ground assault following aerial napalm attacks against the worlds. Johnny receives a field promotion to corporal for his leadership and fighting prowess in taking out a tanker bug. Lieutenant Raskzak allows the squad to unwind that night, and Johnny and Dizzy eventually fall asleep. A few days later, the Roughnecks are given the task of looking into a Planet P station where they discover the garrison dead and learn that the bugs have drained the brains out of some of the corpses. They discover General Owen, Marshal Bell, the cowardly commanding officer who ordered the massacre, still alive and babbling about some sort of leader bug. Thousands of warrior bugs suddenly ambush the outpost, assisted by some tanker and flyer bugs. The majority of the squad is slain, including Lieutenant Raskzak and General Owen. Assuming command, Johnny calls for an evacuation ship, which is actually being commanded by Carmen and Xander. A warrior beetle stabs Dizzy to death, and she passes away in Johnny's arms. Johnny and Carmen are joined by Carl, who is now a high-ranking colonel in military intelligence, after Dizzy's funeral is held on a starship. Johnny is furious when Carl says that the Roughnecks were employed as test subjects for a theory, but the theory, that brain bugs are responsible for a large portion of the arachnid behavior, has turned out to be true. The Roughnecks are tasked by Carl with finding a brain bug on Planet P. Johnny receives a promotion to lieutenant and is given command of the Roughnecks by Carl. Hundreds of planetary tanker bugs once more fire at the fleet in space as the Roughnecks probe the planet's surface. Arachnid plasma fire is directed towards the warship Roger Young, where Carmen is serving as the pilot, during the attack. Cutting the ship in half, Carmen and Xander are able to escape in an escape pod that crashes several meters underground, deep inside a bug nest. As soon as Johnny is made aware of Carmen's predicament, he orders the rest of the squad to continue exploring the network of caves they have been patrolling while he, Ace, and Sugar Watkins, Seth Gilliam, look for Carmen in the underground passageways. Carl, who possesses telepathic abilities, can give Johnny some direction by using his mind. They eventually come upon Carmen and Xander just as the brain bug leader is sucking Xander's brain out. Carmen uses a knife that Xander had earlier given her to cut the bug, thus saving herself. Watkins, who is hurt, gives himself up so that a tiny nuclear weapon can destroy the bug nest. When Johnny, Ace, and Carmen reach the surface, they discover that the mobile infantry, under the command of former Sergeant Zim, who has been reduced to private in order to participate in combat, has discovered the brain bug. Carl joins Johnny and Carmen on the surface as everyone is jubilant and explains that they will be able to understand how the bugs think and can change the course of the conflict. Another propaganda newsreel shows Johnny, Ace, and Carmen continuing their military service as heroes as the film comes to a close. As the battle against the bugs goes on, Johnny serving as the Roughnecks leader and Carmen serving as the captain of her own ship serve as excellent examples to new recruits. Thank you for watching and don't forget to like and subscribe.